John, such a pleasure to speak with you. The film is really great, and
Oh, thanks.
you've had just such a successful career as a writer. So, did you always know one day you wanted to direct, or is that a more recent aspiration?
No, I never wanted to direct because I've seen how hard it is. You see Marty Scorsese or Ridley Scott or Sam Mendes in the set, and you're like, man, that is hard work. But this is a very personal story. I chose to write a very personal script about what it is to be a queer character in a horror movie. And I love horror movies, and I always loved them growing up. But, gay characters in horror movies when I was growing up were either non-existent or they were victims or they were jokes, and that hurt me. And so I decided to write this movie where there wouldn't be one queer hero, there'd be seven of them. And as I worked on it, it just became very, very personal to me. And I've known Jason Blum for a while, and Jason is always very encouraging of first-time directors. So he gave me a little poke, and off I went to film.
You talked about it being personal, and obviously, you spent so much time on film sets. This film comes across as very confident. Why do you think that is? Is it the personal aspect? Is it being familiar with how films are made? What helped you on your debut here?
It's a couple things. I've grown up on film sets, and you're there with Oliver Stone or Ridley Scott or Marty Scorsese. You learn things. You learn how a film set operates. You learn how different directors work. And also, Peacock and Blumhouse were incredibly supportive. They knew I was a first-time director. They gave me time to rehearse. They gave me extra prep time, all the things I needed to be prepared. So when I walked on the set and started working with the actors, I was confident. And also it was a very personal story. So I knew what I wanted to say with it, and I knew how I wanted to interact with the actors.
I found the setting so interesting. Obviously, like the idea of a gay conversion camp being progressive is just a total oxymoron, and it's proven false throughout the film. But I thought that initial veneer where Kevin Bacon's character is very friendly and they're kind of painting it as, hey, we accept you. And it was just such a different, expectation from what I was coming in with. So, can you speak to just that aspect and starting off with that, like very strangely non-religious veneer that they kind of start off with?
Yeah, it's a great act of misdirection. The fact that the villain of the piece that Kevin Bacon plays is speaking in very contemporary woke new age language about gender issues is very surprising for the characters and very comforting in a way to throw them off balance, because one of the sort of tactics of so-called conversion therapy is to unsettle the principles you're trying to convert. And it's very unsettling because they get off that bus expecting it to be Bible thumping and queer bashing, and it's not. It's very reasonable. And it's an old narrative trick in every haunted house movie. When you first move into the house in Amityville, it's not so bad. It's kind of pretty. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And it's a way to increase the tension and the pressure on the characters.
I love the scene with the Pink song, "Effin' Perfect." How'd you determine, that was the song to use there? Because I thought it was just fantastic.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I love that song. I love Pink. And I wrote the book to the stage version of Moulin Rouge where we use Pink. And so Pink was in my head a lot. And honestly, I just know how much it would have meant to me when I was 10 and in the closet and scared of being gay, what it would have meant for someone to say with confidence and power and love, you are effing perfect just the way you are. So it just seemed the right moment in the story for that.
And then my last question for you, there is a rich history of queer horror films, and this is one of like the bigger budgeted ones and it has such a huge impact releasing on Peacock. So what does it mean for you to just have this platform and to add on to that tradition?
Well, as you say, it's a growing tradition that I'm very excited about because it did not exist 20 years ago. It did not exist 10 years ago. But now the world is ready and eager for these stories to celebrate diversity, racial diversity, gender diversity, sexual preference diversity in a really exciting way. So to get to be part of that story, part of that continuum of queer horror is incredibly exciting. And the fact that it's on Peacock, so people can stream it all over the country and soon all over the world is very gratifying because I hope first and foremost it's a very entertaining horror movie, but it's a horror movie with a point and with a purpose, which is compassion and empathy, which is very important, particularly nowadays.
I think you get across that point very well. So congratulations on the film and thank you for your time.
My pleasure.